coming down. I never left it on the ground. I'm not coming down. I want to go higher, higher, higher than this.
Hello, this is Rebecca Fleetwood Hessian, host of the Badass Women's Council podcast. We're glad you're here. So the idea of the Badass Women's Council was born out of a need that I had personally. As I was launching my own business, I knew I was going to need a tribe of people to do life with as I encountered challenges and just everything it was going to take to run my business. And from that experience, the 7 female entrepreneurs that I was able to put together have just taught me so much. It's been a profound experience. And so we thought through this podcast, we could inspire you to look out and ask yourself, maybe you need a council. Maybe you need a council of badass women that you can put together that can provide that same kind of support for you. So today I am thrilled to have as our guest, Nikki Busch from Nicole Blair Wear. She's a personal branding stylist and one of my Badass Women's Council members. Today, Nikki is going to talk to you about finding confidence in your closet, as well as some of the highs and lows of being an entrepreneur. And I hope you'll be able to just feed off her energy and excitement about what she does. It's a contagious place to be when you're in her presence. Enjoy. Hello, Nikki.
Hi.
How are you?
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So I'm here with Nikki Busch, who is the inspiration creator, badass woman behind Nicole Blair Wear. She is a personal brand and style expert, which sounds very fancy.
Well, you know, everything's got to have like some magic to it.
I like it. I have to tell how we met because I love this story. So Nikki and I are both entrepreneurs running our own businesses. And I just started this adventure about a year ago. And I knew, having left corporate America, that I needed a team, what I now fondly refer to as my tribe. And I literally started praying about, God, bring me some people. Bring me some of my people. Bring me creatives. Bring me people that inspire me. And on Instagram one day, I see a post from Nicole Blair Wear. I don't even know how I found you to follow you, which is so divine in and of itself. And she had reached out and needed models for something. And I had messaged to say that my daughter might be available. And the dates didn't work out for that. But I, out of the blue, said we should get together, which I've never said to anyone on Instagram. And we did. We met for coffee and breakfast and we're immediately friends.
I know. It's so crazy because I feel like I have these people that reach out to me and they're like, let's network. And I'm always so cautious and I kind of hit like delete. But there was something that drew me to you. And now I look at it, it was very serendipity. Like we were meant to meet and just finding a group of women who have the same like moral compass and just the same goals. It's truly been a blessing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so you and others, we together form what we all fondly refer to as the Badass Women's Council, which is just that, a tribe of 7 female entrepreneurs that are supporting each other and challenging each other and crying on each other's shoulders sometimes and doing life together in this world of being an entrepreneur, which is exciting and challenging all at the same time. So that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about today. Is it is exciting and it is challenging. What's been your experience? You've been in business for a while. Actually, let me give you some street cred for our listeners. So Nikki's the real deal. She has a background in styling. She's worked with people like Stacey London from What Not to Wear, which she never talks about these things. Like when I met her, I fell in love with her and she's done amazing work for me with my website and my brand. But then all of a sudden I started digging in and realized, damn, girl, you got street cred. First, before we talk about the highs and the lows, just give a little bit on kind of your journey as this style expert.
All right. So for me, I started in the fitness industry, and I was noticing I ran a very successful boot camp, and women were coming in wearing their husband's oversized t-shirts. And I couldn't understand the psychology behind that. How do you lose 70 pounds and not be walking around like, look at me? I mean, I would be strutting like Beyonce. And so from there, I decided to do after the program party. And I used real contestants and real people, and I had a runway show, and it was the most alive I have ever felt.
Love that.
Oh my gosh. Like, I get choked up. I could cry right now thinking about it. I go back to that moment thinking, this is my purpose. But
and that's a key point. And we'll come back to that. I don't want to interrupt too much. But when you're so grounded in the why behind what you do, that it makes you tear up even today. And that was years ago.
10 years ago.
Then you're walking in your purpose. And that can really sustain you in those low lows that we're going to talk about in a minute, right? So keep going. I love that.
So my very first client was an Olympic gold medalist, and my second one walked a red carpet. But my third one is really what changed me as a person and my business model. She was someone who was going through a divorce. She had gained 50 plus pounds, and how she saw herself and how I viewed her were just so different. And I realized, like, I want to work with the everyday woman. I want women to see themselves how I see them. And I think in this, I kind of realized along the way, I was building confidence in women and at the same time in myself.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's been a really cool journey. Like, it's been amazing.
Oh, good. And it's evident in working with you how passionate you are about it, and because you worked with me for my website design and my brand, and the experience was fun because you brought that inspiration and that energy. So it wasn't that dread of, oh my gosh, I'm going to go through hair and makeup today. And being in a photo shoot environment is a little intimidating if you're not used to it. But I had a blast that day. And I
love
think
hearing that.
It comes through, I think, in the pictures too, that I was having fun.
Well, I think, like, for me, the fashion industry has such a terrible name in some aspects. And we've all been, I've been the girl that's been insecure, that has been talked about, that has felt terrible. And those things still happen to this day. And so my goal was, when I work with clients, is for them never to feel what they feel, but to change the environment and to be like, you know what, this is what I see. And let's bring you to this level of fun and energy. And, my job is to bring out your best attributes and highlight those.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And we're going to do some tips and tricks kind of stuff before we wrap up today. I want to go back to this idea of those are the highs, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
When we're in that moment and you're working with a client, that's the, I tear up thinking about why I do what I do. And as an entrepreneur, we have some low lows.
Oh, girl.
We get a chance to talk about those as friends and tribe members now. Tell me a little bit about your perspective on the low lows.
I feel like when you are a business owner and an entrepreneur, everything is under a microscope. Our own microscope. Let me state that. It's kind of like a wedding, right? Like, you plan this whole thing and everybody thinks it's going to be one way, but nobody really knows. So it's like if something goes wrong, it doesn't really matter. But in business, I feel that we put ourselves under a microscope. And so, like, the highs are so high and you're like, this is better than any drug that's ever out there. And then the lows are like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of bed. And you feel...
The hangover is real.
Oh, girl, yeah. The struggle is real. The lows are low, and I've had days where I cry. I mean, just 2 days ago, I said to you, I was trying to set up my online calendar. And I mean, come on, who cries over that? And I remember saying to my husband, what's wrong with me? Like, everyone said it was only going to take 20 to 30 minutes. And here I am 3 hours later. I'm still in my sweatpants and my oversized t-shirt with no bra. Like, I mean, I was just praying UPS did not come to my door that day.
Not exactly modeling the style expert in that moment, but
no.
We're just people. And that's the thing that's also a great message for anybody that's working today in any organization, whether you run your own business or whether you're working on a team in corporate America. Things take longer than we think they're going to. And we beat ourselves up. Sometimes we delegate things to team members, and then we're surprised it takes longer. Like, that's a theme that comes up a lot, most things take longer than we think they're going to.
Absolutely. And I think for men and women, across the board, but especially for entrepreneurs, we have so much riding because there's never an off time. Mm-hmm. You're always on. And, as you said, like, being in that environment, how I was the other day, like, that's not very, stylish. It's not. But the reality of it is, like, you can't always be on. Right. You just can't. And I think I love being here and talking about this because this is real. And it's the stuff that no one really ever talks about. Yeah. And it's like, you need to hear it.
Absolutely. And that's what gets you through the low lows is I can pick up the phone or text you or say, meet me for coffee and say, girl, this has not been going well. I'm in the trenches and I need somebody who gets it, and to be able to open that conversation up and say, everybody goes through that, I think is important for people to hear.
Absolutely. And having a tribe, right? Your tribe. It's what works for someone might not work for someone else. But, when you have your tribe that understands you and they're going through the same things you're going through, you can call that person and be like, I'm crying because I can't set up my online calendar, right? But when I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like Beyonce. Like, I just had the concert of my life. And my husband's like, you set up your calendar.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But that's the humanity aspect of business. And I would love to see every organization have that sense of humanity to where when things are harder than you think they're going to be, that a leader will still come alongside of you and say, I'm so glad you finally got the calendar set up, and not just be frustrated that it took way longer than you thought. It seemed like a simple task. And as we dug in, it's not always a simple task. So the humanity aspect of business, I never want to lose that. So we need people around us that can cheer for us and also be like, ooh, I get it, girl.
Absolutely. And I think cheer for ourselves. I think it's always great to have that from someone else. But like for me, I sent my calendar right away to my husband. I was like, hey, get online and book something with me. I just wanted to see it work, know, but it was like together, that moment was special for both of us because he knew what was in it. And so I think, having people to share your successes and your lows with is really important.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because being able to cheer for yourself is a key part of the way that your process works when you're helping people with their clothes and their hair and their just how they present themselves to themselves is really the starting point. And you and I have chatted about this idea about when you wake up in the morning.
Oh, girl.
Tell that story. I love or that process or that story.
So I normally say to my clients, every woman that I've worked with has this experience. So, things you age every year, they're not exactly where they used to be. So you wake up in the morning, you get to your counter, you look at yourself and you're like, oh, you see all your wrinkles and your hair's all matted, and you get in the shower, you come out, you adjust a few things to pretend that they used to be where they were, and you go, ugh. And you walk into your closet, which is, by the way, packed with a closet full of clothes, and you think you have nothing to wear. So you're like, oh. So most women start their days with 3 uhs before they've even walked downstairs to get a cup of coffee.
Before you've interacted with
anybody. Mm-hmm. And so, and this was me. I mean, I do it. I'm just as guilty. I try to practice what I preach. And I started realizing that has to change. Mm-hmm. You have to kind of put the bat down and stop beating yourself up.
Yeah, I love that. Put the bat down. Yeah.
My mom taught me that. Man, that's a good lesson. And, just readjust, and now I look and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I have crow's feet. That means I smile a ton and it tells a story. And, I have clients that'll say like, I need Botox. And I'll say, well, I do that. They're like, you do? I'm like, well, yeah, my face isn't plastic. I still want to have an expression. You still need those
Yes.
things. It's how do we move every day forward and grow and be the best version of ourselves. And that's really what I hope I bring to the table.
I love that. The phrase that I use for that is daily resilience.
Oh, great.
So oftentimes we read about resilience when some catastrophic or life-altering event has happened. And yes, that's definitely where you need to call upon resilience. But I like to think about resilience as just what you said. All throughout my day, there are things that I thought would happen that didn't.
Right.
There are things that I wish were different and they aren't. And if at any moment I let any one of those change my mindset or take me down a bad path, then I'm not moving forward. So daily resistance is getting through those 3 uhs of the morning and still putting on something that you feel good in and walking out the door and saying, here I am. Now what's the next task? And then when traffic is bad and that didn't go well and you're a little late, you say, that's okay. What's the next? Keep moving forward.
Absolutely. And have little victories in those moments too. You know, like when you're stuck in traffic and you're stressed out, there's normally a time where I'm like, you know what? I just have to seize the moment and find a killer song and I'm going to jam out in my car and know that the person next to me is going to be looking at me, laughing at me. You know, it's
Which may have changed their day completely just by smiling at you having a good day. Yeah.
So I think little victories throughout the day add up. And in a year, you're a completely different person.
Yeah. Just having that mindset that I'm going to use this moment that could have been a downer in the traffic jam to say, okay, how am I going to use this to my benefit?
Absolutely. And know that I'm not always happy and cheery. There are moments where I'm like, I'm going to have my like pity party and I'm going to sit here. But I try to give myself like, no more than 24 hours. That's for sure.
Well, and you've got a great husband that'll remind you if it goes on too long.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
It's all balance. Checks and balances.
This is great. I want to give people an opportunity to get a little of your wisdom around styling and what you do because it is. And let me give my personal experience.
Okay.
So I am known as the person when my friends would ask me to go out to dinner or go out and do something, they would say to me, and so you're going to wear your uniform, right? And that means I wear jeans, boots, often a vintage concert t-shirt or some very casual something and a jacket over it. Everywhere I go, every situation, I'm known for my uniform and I like it and I'm comfortable in it. Right. And so when we started working together, I was a little worried. I was like, oh, what if Nikki doesn't like my uniform? Like that's my security. That's my go-to. And the experience was so amazing because through the way that you work and you did upfront analysis, that sounds fancy, analysis. You had me fill out some questionnaires to get to know me even more than you already did a little bit. And what was really great about it is you honored who I am and you just kind of met me where I was and kicked it up a notch. So I never felt like I wasn't me. You just helped me feel really good about who I am. And that was fun. So I just want to give a little bit of it. It didn't dramatically change. It enhanced and made me feel more confident about my choices.
Well, thank you for saying that.
No, so true.
No, it was, I think there's this idea of what stylists are. Mm-hmm. And the term stylist is used so loosely these days. So it could be from anyone who's selling jewelry to if you work in a department store. And so the experiences, or if you look at a scale, they could range from really great to really terrible. And so what I try to bring to the table is just that. I try to understand who you are as a person. And and I believe in uniforms because, I'm all about a good uniform girl. At the end of the day, it's like, that is your signature and your style is no different than your signature or your DNA. And it's just my job to put that under the microscope and say, hey, what can I enhance here? Mm-hmm. And so a few tips on how women and men could, figure out how to enhance who they are. I always say, ask a friend or a family member what your best features are. Right. So like for you have gorgeous eyes. So when we worked together, the first thing I was like, oh my gosh, I want to bring out your eyes because, well, one, it's like that's how you get to know someone, right? You look in their eyes, you feel this deep connection. And for what you were doing with your business, there had to be that approachability. And so I really wanted to focus on the eyes. And so, ask friends and family, what's a really good feature that I have? And then highlight that feature.
That's a great idea.
So for instance, today you're wearing like a really great blue shirt because it enhances your eyes.
Yes, you taught me what colors are good for that. Yay.
So doing that. And then also innately, like, you knew what worked for you. A lot of times when I work with clients, I think they feel I'm going to come in and I'm either going to dress them as a version of myself, which, let's be honest, I'm like, that's my style. Don't creep on it. But, they think I'm going to make them into something else. And I think most people know who they are. I just explain the why. I explain, why did this feel comfortable for you? Because it checked those boxes as to who you are. You're casual. You have a love for concert and music, and yet you like to be put together. There's a sense of classicness. So that like structured jacket makes sense. And so that uniform is right. If you look at uniforms, look at people across the board, Karl Lagerfeld, right? He has the white ponytail and the gloves, and you start to see patterns with
Even
people.
Steve Jobs had his uniform.
Exactly,
the black,
right?
Yeah,
and so it's like, that's what you're known for. And that's not a bad thing, as long as, I always say, it has to look good on your body type. It has to bring out your personality, and it has to work for your features. So as long as it does that.
And you use a term that I love, and it is exactly what you just said and how it played out for me, which is find confidence in your closet.
Absolutely.
So when you have those in the morning, I now walk in my closet, and you helped me put some things together that I hadn't been putting together before, because it's good to have fresh eyes on your stuff. So it wasn't about, hey, Rebecca, go buy new stuff. Some of the real value was, I never thought about wearing this with that. But now when I walk into my closet, I have confidence that the choices I'm making are representing my best self. And when I put that on now, I'm not second guessing. I have like an expert's validated opinion, and I walk out feeling different in some of the clothes that I've had before that I've just kind of repurposed. It really does work.
It does. And I think people feel that if you hire a stylist, I'm going to come in and get rid of all of your clothes. And that's not the case. I always try to work with what a client has, because you chose those things. So that tells me something about you. So if I throw all of that away, it's like throwing a piece of you away. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have something that's terrible, I'm going to be like, girl, no.
Yeah, we did have a couple of those, so we had to get rid of them. But that's okay.
For the most part, that's a story as to who you are. And so I need to incorporate that and make that be a part of your brand. You are a part of your brand. You are your brand. And those two things have to match.
And you're very careful to take budget into consideration. You're not here to say you need to spend $1 gazillion to buy a whole new wardrobe. You were very cautious to say, hey, let's figure out what's already in here that works well together. And that was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that, in an ideal world, we'd all go out every season and buy a brand new wardrobe. I'd love to do that too, but that's not reality. I do believe in saying, let's prioritize. Hey, I feel like you're missing this. And I call those connectors that will connect your existing wardrobe so that you can make more outfits out of it. And then you kind of have like a secondary list. Like, hey, this is more of a wish list. When you get that bonus or when you've hit a high in your business, celebrate, go buy yourself this, that, and then that piece becomes so much more meaningful because there's a connection to it. So, yeah.
That's shoes and boots are my favorite thing to buy. And my birthday's coming up here in a couple of weeks. And every year on my birthday, I buy myself either a new pair of shoes or a new pair of boots. Like, that's my birthday present to me.
Right. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me. Well, and I have to just laugh because it's painfully obvious right now that we didn't get rid of all of my clothes, because if you aren't familiar with podcasting, most people, if you don't have a fancy studio, podcast in their closets because the sound is so great in the closet with the clothes absorbing sound and nothing from the outside can get in. So we are literally sitting in my closet surrounded by all my clothes. So
I feel very at home right here. I was like, you had me. The second you said in my closet, I'm like, I'm there.
I did. I messaged her yesterday. This was very impromptu. And I said, hey, I've got some time tomorrow. Let's do a podcast. And you're going to be in my closet, which I know you love to be in people's closets. So she was like, okay, girl, I'm down.
Well, and I spotted something leopard the second we walked in. So I was like, you had me at leopard.
Yes, you do love your leopard, and you rock it, girl.
Everyone has a signature. That's my signature, and I'm not changing it.
No, you shouldn't change it. This is awesome. Well, anything else that you'd give us as just tips and tricks before we part ways today?
Yes, I think another really great tip and trick is that stay true to yourself. Always follow your gut. And what I mean by that is, for instance, I love Nicole Richie. I love her style, but when I pull it off, or I try to pull it off, it just doesn't work. And I know that, but sometimes we get so caught up in like, this is what's trending, and just follow your gut and don't be afraid to make mistakes. I mean, I go back to when I first started styling and I was heading to San Francisco and I thought, oh, I'm going to be so cool and wear like jean shorts and a blazer and boots. That outfit was horrendous. I was actually searching the other day thinking, I wish I could find this to show people like, it's okay. You're going to have like really bad outfits.
That's
and
okay.
You just have to roll with it and learn. You know, this is a journey and you're not going to knock it out of the park every single day. And that's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You're exploring and learning and growing. And so you just kind of do what works for you that day.
And if someone wanted to work with you, you've got all kinds of ways that people can work with you, from coming into their closet and helping them put things together like you did for me. I know a lot of times you've had situations where people have trips coming up or things coming up where you'll help them shop for a vacation or an event. One of my favorite ones, and you referenced this earlier, are people that are in a life transition. So recently you helped a lady who had just had a baby and was kind of struggling with who she was now as a mom versus the businesswoman. So you have a lot of ways that you help people with that, finding confidence in your closet idea.
Well, I just feel like I don't want to limit. I think everyone could use help. And I want to make sure I'm accessible to everyone at every price point, at every demographic, that, we work within your means, whatever that is. And I don't think that a woman should lack confidence. I just think a woman should have as much confidence as she could possibly have. And it's our job as women to lift each other up. And so, yes, I have everything from, stylists on call packages where you could do monthly memberships with me and we set up Skype calls to, the entire head to toe makeover from hair, makeup, which
is super fun.
Oh my gosh. I love that one because, like anything, when you're all in, you have the best results, right? I mean, you don't build a house and say, I'm just going to do the foundation and then throw a tarp on it. But then there are some people that, hey, you buy the land and you sit on it for a few months or years. So I understand that. Look, we all have budgets. I mean, I personally don't like that word, but...
We've chatted about that. But this could be a great gift to give somebody too, like one of your good friends or your mom or your sister. So I know that people have bought some of your time as a gift for others to do that makeover or do that closet overhaul. So there's all kinds of ways. So I think the timing is good for this kind of conversation, because everywhere you see people that are subscribing to the services where, they do some questionnaires, they mail you a box of clothes and hope that it works. And what's interesting, we've talked about the business case around that, is that it's still guessing, whereas spending money with you is eyeball to eyeball. Let me get to know you, and then I'll show you what you should go shop for. And financially, it makes a lot more sense to just get to know someone like you as a stylist to make sure that that's personalized for you.
Well, and there's a science behind what I do. I did go to school for this. I understand. I use a lot of psychology and understanding and pattern and repeats, and, all of that comes into play. And so my clients don't see that on their end, but there's a lot of that happens on the back end. And sadly, I walk into a lot of closets that have a ton of clothes with tags on it. Mm-hmm. And so if I can help women save money, a lot of times it's the initial investment with me, but in the end result, what you get, the hundreds and thousands of dollars I have saved women, it pays for itself time and time again.
That's a confidence builder right there. Well, this has been great. I appreciate you taking the time to do this today. I always love hanging out with you. And I think we've done a good job of articulating to folks that there are amazing days and there are days that just aren't so great. But if we can, be resilient and kind of walk through those moments confidently and you help people do that. So I love that about you.
Thank you. And I'm going to leave you guys on this. I say that being an entrepreneur is like the ocean. Some days it's really calm. And some days there's just a wave that comes and knocks you, and you just have to learn to ride the waves.
Yeah.
Ride the waves.
I love that. That's mic drop moment. We're going to let that one go.
Boom.
Thanks, girl.
Thank you.
All right.
And I'm not coming down.
Don't you just love her? My gosh, spend some time with Nikki. You won't regret it. So here at the BWC, we are all about reflection and connection. So your 2 questions to ponder as you go through this week being badass are, 1, do your clothes give you confidence? Or is there something that you might want to do from what you heard today to make some adjustments that could be better for you? And number 2, do you cheer for yourself? Do you give yourself permission to celebrate when things go really well? We sure hope so. So, as always, please continue the conversation on LinkedIn, Rebecca Fleetwood Hessian, and on our Instagram account, the Badass Women's Council. We're so glad you were here. And if you need help with consulting for your business, coaching, or a keynote speaker, hit me up. I'd love to help. Make it a great week.
I'm not coming down. I never left it on the ground. I'm not coming down.